Alrighty then. We should be live. Let me double check everything, make sure it's all going good. Looks like it is. Alrighty then. Don't have anyone yet, that's fine. Waiting on my good old buddy to join on in. All right, we got one viewer. Oh no, I'm the one viewer. I'm viewing myself. So let's stop viewing myself. Let's see. We don't need the YouTube chat for now. I got the StreamYard chat. Oh. I do have a viewer now. Since I'm no longer viewing the stream, that means that viewer is a real viewer. Hello, viewer. Alrighty then. I was a bit late to get the tweet out, so it's probably going to be quiet for a bit. Yeah, because now we're back down to no one. But yeah, it's not going to be just me tonight. All right.
Dustin?
Hey. Let me modify the audio. We got people. Yay.
Very good. Very good. And because I'm up in my room this time, I can actually look at the chat effectively. So that's good as well.
All right. Oh, gosh.
How long have you been going? A few minutes?
I made stuffed shells whenever
Okay.
I want to eat. They're done.
I need a sign to put on my door that just be like, "Don't come in," like either on call or
in general
or
never,
recording,
just a
never.
Just a don't come in here sign. It's have a red like recording light on the door, except it just never goes off, and so everyone just like stands there outside your door, anticipating it finally blinking off, but then it doesn't, so they just all leave, and then just keep doing that forever, and then you can finally turn the light off when it's time for Gate to wander in, which is never. Oh my God. I think you may have already surpassed how many live streams I've done in my whole life with this little live streaming concept of yours. So you beat my my length record, but you've also probably beat my number of streams record. So isn't that impressive?
Wooden Railway, Edward, I think it's best if Reading 3640 Studios explains to Lemmy the pasta noodle railway.
Okay, what is that? I'd like to know. Oh, dear. I'm waiting for this written thesis on whatever this entails. Oh dear, oh dear.
Apparently, it's the story of Percy's ghost.
Okay.
You know, if we were high when writing the story.
Okay. I can't be certain how I would write if I were high, but I have a feeling it wouldn't even be wacky. I feel like it might just get more dramatic. I don't know. Oh my God. Okay. So the story begins in 1945 BC, says Reddit 364 Studios.
Okay, while we wait, what's the plan for today? I don't know what the plan is for today. I have no plan. That's partially why the title of this stream is Member of All Fandoms, Master of None.
That's a pretty good one, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, last stream was the quest for creative title names, maybe. The one where the first one where you were in was now with more lemons.
Oh my god. The emphasis on more. Like, there was an amount before, and now there's just more. My god.
Okay, so the story begins in 1945 BC. You see, the Pasta and Noodles Railway was in need of a locomotive.
What makes it the Pasta and Noodles Railway? Are the noodles like the rails? Is it like rails made out of literal pasta? Because that's impressive. I'd like to know how it works.
I mean, given that this railway was built in 1945 BC, that would make sense.
Who says 1945 BC? Like, I think we're past the point where we need to say that.
Yeah, it's not AD, BC. 1945 BC, before Christ.
That's so weird. There's some years that shouldn't get to have existed twice. Like, not in the reverse order. That's not okay. Like, that there was a 1945 on the other end of Christ's birth is unsettling to me. Was there a reverse World War II and so on and so forth?
So naturally, they contracted to build a big boy locomotive and ship it with Amazon.
Okay.
For the cost of 3 raisins and 2 peanuts.
Is that a lot or a little? I don't think this railway has a solid business model. I'll just be upfront about it right now. I don't. My professional.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, because I mean, this railway was railwaying before people even knew what railways were.
Railwaying, yeah, that's true. It was, and it also invented pasta, I guess, which is also another impressive feature of this rail line. 2 billion years later.
So it's the Pasta Noodles Railway is still waiting from our perspective.
Jesus Christ. This timeline is even more complicated than a Transformers timeline that spans millennia and millions of years.
Oh, the Transformers timeline is simple. It doesn't exist. It gets so complicated that it's simple. It just doesn't exist.
It just became so complex that it just imploded to the point of not existing. Look, Dustin, I'm all out of paper clips. I don't have any paper clips, and I need them.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. It's a serious shame.
I don't have any paper clips either, but I also don't need paper clips.
Well, lucky you. I have to get paper clips, and I don't know where they are. I think I have some downstairs, but even then, I'm very low on paper clips. So even if I find them, I still need to get more, and I can't do that right now. I'm gonna go look for paper clips. I'm sure I'll find them. If I don't, then pronounce me dead.
Okay. And now he is gone. What does Lemmy think about the bubble? Well, I'll ask Lemmy what he thinks about the bubble loader. All right. So what are we going to do today? Yes, Lemmy goes on a daring quest for paper clips. Maybe I should start adding these titles after the stream.
All right, I may have made a slight exaggeration about the paper clips because I went into the playroom. They were literally the first thing I saw, and I got them, and it's not nearly as big of a deal as I thought it was. And there's a lot of them in here, so it's not really that serious. Yeah, boy, do I have egg on my face. Oh, that's...
So, now then, when the big boy came to the Pasta Noodle Railway about 2 billion years later, it was chartered to pull a whopping train of a 1 2-foot-long China clay car, a hand car carrying some bread.
Whoa, we gotta talk about this. 1 2-foot-long China clay. So, are all the other dimensions the same? Because that's not okay. That's like...
Okay, well, let's just wait here. 1 2-foot-long China clay car, a hand car carrying some breadsticks, laundry, and a pair of old pliers, and a flat car with George the Steamroller on it.
I don't like how normal that is. That's after all of that, it's like just a flat car with George on it. Why is George here? Just George, just as we know him in the 60s.
2 billion years later.
Yeah, what the hell is this?
George is immortal. That's his punishment. He hates life, so he lives forever.
George. That's a really cruel punishment. It's like, oh, well, you're gonna have to live for 2 billion years. What did he do to deserve that? It's insane.
He got into an argument with Sir Handel. Then Sir Handel became God and smited him.
Oh God, that would happen. Can you imagine that if Sir Handel became God? What he would do? He would immediately add 4 wheels to every coach on the planet. That's the first thing he would do. And then he would I don't know what he would do to Peter Sam. He'd either make him his jester, which I know that gods don't really have jesters. That's more of a king thing, but I think Sir Handel would do that. Or he would just...
some gods are also kings, depending on your mythology.
Sir Handel, the god king. And he'd probably... It's interesting because he'd probably restructure the world a lot like the Mid-Sodor was. I don't think it would... It's interesting. It's if you extend this analogy to this is less extending it and more making it smaller. I don't know how you can get bigger than God. But if Sir Handel was in charge of a railway and could decide exactly how it operated, it's interesting how even though he's been on the Skarloey for 60 years, he'd probably still structure it a lot like the Mid-Sodor, even though it isn't you would think he's over that by now, but I don't think he is. So, God Sir Handel, that makes the world Mid-Sodor. So, make of that what you will. All prisoners get turned into pumping engines. Or get
However, when the big boy went over the viaduct, which was at the time made of toothpicks and held together with chewed gum, the big boy destroyed it.
At the time. I don't know how I feel about the lore of this. The fact that there's different eras. You could model the different eras of this viaduct. It's pre Big Boy Crossing and post Big Boy Crossing, and then in 1960 they dropped the running board down, and I don't know how I feel.
The viaduct has a running board.
It's just how it was built. It's if it can be made out of the toothpicks, I think it can be made to the rough shape of an E2. I think that can happen as well. You could do anything with a little bit of.
I'm imagining that big Thomas from Tomy that the tracks can run through it, except it's made out of toothpicks and chewed gum.
Structurally, it's just a waste. Why would you? You're just basically making a bridge that's just a tunnel. Just have the bottom of it. Why do you need all that? What's the point? Imagine if you had to write a story that actually justified that somewhere on Sodor, justified the big Tommy Thomas that engines run through. How would you do that?
This is the universe where Thomas became God and had a monument built in his honor.
That's true.
But he's still convinced that he is the underdog of this story.
Yeah, he's not at this point. Far beyond that at this point. Oh my God.
Okay. Big boy destroyed it. because, well, it a bloody big boy going over a toothpick and chewed gum bridge.
All right. Well, that's slightly disappointing. I was hoping for a more less obvious reason than that. I mean, yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know if I'm feeling this story. I'm starting to doubt its accuracy.
What I find amazing is this is supposed to be the ghost train from Percy's Ghost.
So, what is my first question.
Apparently, this big boy that fell off the toothpick chewed gum bridge.
Okay. Well, I mean, we didn't ever really see the ghost, at least in the Railway series. So, it could be, perhaps.
Oh, and now he's made an amendum to the story where he says also Sir Handel sabotaged the bridge.
I feel like I just feel like it's a weird coincidence that we like brought up Sir Handel and then all of a sudden he was in the story. I just think if this is something that actually happened, I would
see this whole thing. It wasn't about the big boy. The big boy was just collateral damage. Sir Handel wanted to kill George. After smiting George and cursing him with eternal life, he finally got sick of him and decided to kill him.
Okay.
Because Sir Handel makes no goddamn sense like that.
Oh my god.
And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others to not build bridges out of toothpicks and gum, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul.
I would like to know what that sounds like. Shrieking like a lost soul. What is a lost soul?
Imagine it sounds like a really shrieky whistle.
Okay. All right.
Sir Handel was the Pasta and Noodle Railways controller.
Okay. I guess that's
coincidences don't exist in all caps.
That's how he solves the problem. Okay. Just no. I refuse.
No, Sir Handel isn't Jesus. That suggests that there is someone more powerful than him. Sir Handel is God.
Maybe Sir Handel's God and Jesus. Or maybe Peter Sam's Jesus. And then Sir Handel sent him to Earth to die for his...
And this explains why George hates railways so much, as the Pasta Noodles Railway nearly killed him.
Yes.
2 billion years after he hated railways. George is a time traveler.
I can see that. It is interesting, though. I could see George being, like, kind of the cockroach that, like, outlives everybody. Just because, like, I think he's just that rugged and tough. He just, like... he's just this big...
No one would bother. Like, no one would care to scrap him. It's not that people would still find him useful or anything. They just wouldn't give a damn.
Yeah. They'd, like, try to cut him up, and then he would just give insults, and he would, like, mutter and grumble so much. He wouldn't even notice they were cutting him up. And then the guy with the cutter's torch would just throw it down and be like, "God, I can't stand this guy. I'm just leaving. I quit." And then just... George just sits there in the scrapyard and everyone forgets he's there, and he just stays there for billions of years. That's his life. That's his lot. Oh, Georgie boy.
Oh, George. Georgie. Oh, Georgie.
What has become
of him? What?
Now we know what's become
you are.
We know what will become of him because we've heard the whole tale, and it's not flattering. Interesting. I quite like this story. I have to say, I think I give it a 10 out of 10.
Infinity out of 10.
Trying to infinity up me, Dustin. All right.
It's just as good on the rewatch. Well, rewatch. All right. Now, what am I going to do today? I could play trains.
You could.
I could continue getting stuff downloaded onto trains because I've actually started putting my Thomas content back on trains.
You could also do that.
I could work on my spreadsheets.
You could do that as well. All of these
Or
things you can do.
Or I could play Lego Batman.
You could also do that. You could do anything you set your mind to, Dustin.
Wooden Railway Edward says I should make trains a physical object and eat it. And I say to that, no.
Make it out of something edible and then eat it. I don't see a problem.
Yes, I just bake a cake and then I detail it like the train's logo.
Yeah.
And then I eat the cake.
That could work. Yeah, try that.
Now I will be metaphorically eating trains.
That's true.
Because we all love metaphors here in Thomas.
We do. Obsessively so. As a desperate attempt to convince ourselves that the trains don't deserve civil rights. What a world we live in. We had people history and railways, which told us where all the stations were. Okay, great. But I kind of want to know the philosophy. Where's the philosophy counterpart to people history and railways? Audrey, tell me how it works. Tell me how I'm supposed to interpret the books, because it seems like you don't even know. It seems like he's just like he has no working theory for it. He's just like, oh, they're trains, and that's it. He just leaves it there and then keeps writing books.
That's the point.
And then he just left it with Christopher.
That's as simple. That's as simple as it is. The trains.
You can handle it, right, Christopher? And Christopher was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, oh, by the way, you got to tell everyone how it works. And Christopher's like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'll leave it with Britt Allcroft. And then she did explain it, actually. And then everyone cried, and all the children laughed and enjoyed it at the time, and then the fandom cried much later when everybody got older.
Everyone collectively got weirded out when Mr. Conductor started talking to us as if we were characters within the movie.
Yeah. Because he didn't do that for anything but like one scene. What was that? Why was it?
Because it's all Alec Baldwin's delusion.
You must have known I was coming. How would I have done that? I was with Junior before, and I was with Thomas before, and then I was with James, and I never saw the windmill until now. Do you think that I left my
We discovered the windmill with you, Mr. Conductor.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We had no idea you were going to get there.
It's not like the camera just halfway through the movie just cut to the windmill and then had like bags fly past our perspective to the camera and then sit in front of it. That didn't happen. They're assuming that I must have left the narrative at some point to go do that and then come back and missed a whole scene at Tidmouth Sheds or something. Like, no, I've been watching. I didn't do that. And if I've been
sitting here in this universe. I just watch what goes on in your universes.
Yeah, I didn't think I would have to participate. I didn't sign up for that at all. That's a lot more work than I was hoping.
I signed up for a fun romp with steam trains and evil claw diesels.
Evil claw diesels. I think there's only one. I hate to be a stickler, but there's only one of those. I'm just saying.
Or maybe there's 10 of them.
Ooh, oh, okay. All right. No, that's not, no. How rude.
Cabal of claw diesels.
Yeah, cabal.
The claw ball. Cabal.
That's pretty good. Yeah, sure. The claw ball. That's what we'll call it from now on. To refer to all the diesel 10s that aren't diesel 10.
For diesels 1 through 9.
Yeah. That sounds like for ages 2 to 4. Like for diesels 1 through 9, we have this fresh new term for only $15.95. You can purchase it. Purchase the rights to it. Call yourself a club all.
All right. What to do? What to do? What to do? I am going to. I'm going to do what's the word? Spreadsheet stuff.
Ah, there we go. Very good.
I still haven't. I still haven't figured out what possible number Edward can be.
I think I figured that out at some point. You mean on the Furness Railway?
Yeah.
I think I did a lot of research and figured out that his class directly replaced an older class, and actually took their numbers. Like they didn't number sequentially on that railway; they filled gaps. And so,
right. I was trying to like look at the gaps and figure out.
I think I made him like number 27 or something. Let me check my handy dandy notes because I think that there was like I found like a number that really worked. There's a list of Furness Railway numbers, I think. You may have it up already.
Here, I'll start doing the screen share.
Got so much documentation here. Gotta figure out where I would have even put this. Whenever I write something, I just like throw it all in like a Google Doc, and then I just don't necessarily label it properly. Like if I have a cool idea, I might just write it in an unrelated document. But
all right, yeah, because I have this Furness Railway Steam Index page, and then I also have the Wikipedia page. I also have these things for other reasons, but I know at first I was trying to figure out if he could be 20, like if he could be the first. Well, the first one is 21, but you know if he could be before the first one.
Do you intend to make him an existing one, or do you intend to make him to fit him in and make him different?
Different. Yeah, I don't want to rewrite one of the existing.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And that's what I figured out a while ago. I do wish that I could find it somewhere.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so these first 6 would have been built in 1896, and they would be replacing the B3s.
It's interesting how young. It's interesting how young Edward starts to feel when you do research into older engines. Like recently, I've been doing tons of research into Stepney and like the 1870s kind of era engines, and like now Edward feels so big and like young compared to them, but like compared to Gordon, he's just like a dinosaur.
Right. So let's see. The original number 20 was preserved, but I think before that it was sold to the ironworks in Barrow.
What do you mean it was preserved? Oh, you mean the original? What was that? That wasn't
an A5?
Preserved as in it still exists?
Yes.
Oh, weird. So none of the K2s survived, but the engines that preceded it, one of them did.
No, these aren't the same. They replaced the B3s, none of which survived. The A5s, like, I was trying to figure out, like, if Edward could be number 20. Like, because...
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
So,
I know that there's definitely, like, with the B3s, there's definitely gaps in there that you could just, in the same way, like, there's gaps that never got filled, right? There's, like, B3s that were withdrawn and just never replaced with a corresponding K2.
Well, all the B3s were replaced with a K2. Now that's just according to Wikipedia, because here I see 21, 22, and 34 through 37, and those are the exact numbers for the...
I'm pretty sure there's a gap in there somewhere.
All right, well, let me come look at the Steam index here. B3s.
It might have been that what I did is I put Edward in the gap between those two brackets. I remember those two brackets of numbers is like those 20s and those 30s is like, I might have put him somewhere in between.
Class B3 222 well tank engines. This was the largest group numerically of all the furnace engines of this type. The engines were also the greatest 222Ts. There were 6, numbers 21 and 22, built in 1864, and 34 through 37, built in 1866, all by Sharp, Stewart & Co. The works numbers were 1500, 151, whatever. They were identical to the B2 class in appearance, but somewhat larger in dimensions, proving to be versatile and economical for light passenger duties. They had the same wheel diameters as the earlier engines, but their cylinders were enlarged to 15-inch by 18-inch, and they had larger boilers. All had fairly long lives. They were put on the A list in 1896 and withdrawn 2 years later. Number 35A was sold to Weston, Clevedon, and Portishead Railway, and 22A to the whatever railway. Numbers 36 and 37 worked as stationary engines until 1918. The rest were scrapped. So yeah, there were only 6 of them ever built.
Interesting.
21, 22, and 34 through 37.
So maybe what I did is, I'm pretty sure I made Edward 27 or something. I think I made him like in the late 20s, and I think that there was a gap in there somewhere that could be utilized. That kind of roughly gave him a number that kind of didn't replace one of the older ones directly, but also did.
Yeah, because he can't be one of like the newer ones, because they just kept, like, when the last 2 were built, when the 7th and 8th were built in 1900, at that point they started just adding numbers on sequentially. Like, they didn't do any more gap filling at that point.
Right.
So it messes with every other engine if Edward becomes like 126 or something.
Yeah, I wish I could find my notes on this, because I know I made it work.
Oh, why, hello, Dax. Well, now I know why Lemmy's never around to call anyone. Lol.
Why? Why is that? I would like to hear that spelled out, because I spend 0.005% of my time in live streams.
Wait, I mean, we haven't even called this whole week, so this is doubling as both our call and a
Yeah.
live stream. So
That's true. Yeah, so it's not like I'm some sort of live stream crazy party fool who just never got time to call.
Dax, this is Lemmy's like second stream with me. And like these streams have only been like 2 hours. It's the after class stream. It's just like the few hours between class and bed.
Yeah.
Bad take, Dax. Bad take. But no offense. No offense taken, no offense meant. Well, I exaggerate a lot. Yes, I do too.
I think the stream I did with Dax was longer than all of the streams I've done with you so far combined. All 2 of them.
All right. Be a moment here.
The sound of Aston's gears turning in his mind, processing the information, and doing his detective sleuthing to figure out Edward's true identity. He needs total silence.
Here we observe the wild Dustin in his natural habitat, stressing over what the fuck he's going to do. Dang, we got 7 viewers, 7 whole viewers. That's a record for my channel.
Oh.
Maybe. At least for this series. I don't remember how many viewers I've had. I think I had a good many viewers during my live build. So
Yeah. True. I am working on a wooden railway top hat, which doesn't make sense because it's not made of wood or a railway. Railway tug, at least, but it's vaguely reminiscent of the style.
why, hello.
Hi, how are you? Man, audio stuttering sucks.
Sorry, what sucks now?
StreamYard needs an app. For a few minutes, I won't be able to hear what anyone's saying. It's just
Oh yeah,
robotic
I think I know.
noises.
I know what he's talking about. It's the you join and it goes like.
I haven't had that problem yet.
I've
what's
had it
going
many
on.
times. Like the first, I want to say 40 seconds is just dreadful, and then that resolves itself somehow.
But yeah. I think by next week I'll have OBS set up that I can use that instead. So, which will be
You got to let me know how that goes because I have OBS as well, and I've never thought to use it for streaming. I know that's a feature.
Yeah, because with that, like, for one, I won't have to deal with watermarks, which I don't really care about either way.
Oh, I
but-
can hear people. This is great.
All right, excellent.
A luxury. Here in my Thomas sunglasses.
Cool.
From before I could walk. That's how old these are. They're way too small for my face. They're cutting off the bloodstream to my, or the blood flow to my brain.
You are so
Wait,
small.
blood
on my
flows
screen.
to your brain?
They're cutting off the blood flow to my brain.
Does the blood
Yeah.
flow
They're
from
just
the lower half of your head
pushing
to
on the side of my
upper
face.
half?
I didn't know blood did flow to your brain, Dax.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Wow. Says the moving snowplow.
Hey, I was not named after the snowplow. The snowplow was named
you're a
after
wooden
me.
railway item. How does
And
how does it feel?
technically, I don't think that snowplow even moves. So
Well,
there.
Well, yeah, it's a rotary snowplow. It rotates, so it
It
moves.
rotates, yeah, that's movement, but it doesn't move forward.
Doesn't drive itself.
On power.
That moves.
That's
He's
like
a snow.
saying
He suffers from Marionitis.
Glorified snowblower.
Marionitis is like a perfect term for that. Like,
What?
it's the very common phenomenon of a character in the show being portrayed as being able to move under their own power when they really can't in real life. It's
We're
like so
calling
common.
it Marionitis now because Marion was the first to do it.
Yeah. So what would that be for like?
Well, wouldn't
characters
Bash
that
and
have been
Dash be the
engaged?
first to do it because their wheels aren't actually attached to their
No,
No,
they're
that's
supposed to be
like,
able to
Thomas.
move.
Okay, look. Thomas doesn't have any brakes visible. Nobody talks about that. But Bash and Dash, oh, we can only see their axles. Oh, boo hoo! There's no cylinders. Look, a lot of shit is missing from the engines. Look at Gordon; his cylinders have been chopped in two. No one cares about that part. But all of a sudden, with Bash and Dash, that's a huge deal.
Well, because they didn't really look very different, but then Bash and Dash. See, the thing is that Bash and Dash don't have anything. They're all of their frames are gone.
Yeah,
But
like,
here's the
Gordon's
point: is that Bash
weird,
and
like,
Dash are
that thing
based
doesn't
off of
work.
something that's supposed to be able to move
Oh my
under their own
goodness.
power.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Hold on a second. Let me just switch my camera here. See, Dustin is actually based on the boy from the Family of Four.
I'm sorry. He's based on.
Yes,
I need to
my
write
parents
Dustin's
cooked
bottom
me in a
list.
lab.
His parents just looked at.
You know,
that
with
video
Lemmy's
and said, "I
current
want something like
hair
that."
situation, he could be based on the mother from the Family of Four.
All right. He doesn't have a purse like that. I'm afraid to break the news to you.
I can't hear anything because of audio stuttering again.
Oh, poor Dax.
I know, it sucks. I hate. Apparently, my phone needs to be in the new iOS update. I don't know how to update it because I don't know anything about technology.
I hate having to update stuff. Like it works now. If it's not broke.
Hold on a second. Wait, I can just go get my computer.
Ah, there's an intelligent thought.
The
Yes,
thing is,
indeed.
it's only Lemmy that's audio stuttering. Hold on, let me just go back to the basement.
Oh,
I'm gonna switch over to my computer.
wow. Okay.
Okay, now I can hear Lemmy again.
Wow. Why am I singled out? Why is it me?
Well,
But
it's
I
not
could-
my fault. It's Apple's fault. Go complain to them.
Well, all right.
Well, Apple likes to self-sabotage their phones, so you buy the newest model. So
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is that any company would.
All right, I can go to skip.com and then get the StreamYard link again.
We believe in you, Dax.
yes, we do.
Cracking my fingers to show that this is serious. Just waiting for my computer to load. Mr. Rudy.
Gosh, don't call me that. It makes me feel old.
Is it because you're Rudy?
No, I mean, I pretend to be rude sometimes, but
Pretend.
Pretend to be rude.
I mean, you think I can be bad. I mean, you should like listen to my dad.
All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna leave, and I've got my computer, so I'll be back in a second.
All right.
Okay.
I love it. I just say all right on your stream. I'm just like, oh yeah, you have permission to leave.
Success.
Booyah.
Look, so we got Lemmy and Dustin right here in wooden railway form.
There we go. There we go. I don't know why I have Dustin's exact colors and look related to him, and am his mom. But there we go.
Yeah. Oh wait, wait. Well, they have the same hair color, the same color of shirt, the same color of pants.
That's.
I mean, one of them is wearing shorts and the other one's wearing a skirt, but they're both gray. Like this is the same color scheme here.
One of them is the larval stage of the other.
Yeah, except the other gender. But then it's the girl and the dad. Where's the girl is missing? What? I think Percy stole the girl because. Oh wait, here's the girl. See, the girl and the dad look nothing alike.
She's
They don't
adopted.
even have the same hair color. This guy has gray hair, and she's blonde. She's just weird.
She's not his real daughter.
Yeah.
She's either adopted or.
There's been an affair.
Or foster child, or they just took her.
They just took her.
They just grabbed her off the street.
Exactly.
It's like, oh look, a child. I wonder if I'll get bonus points if I collect this item.
It's sad to think. I just like to imagine that like child abduction just doesn't happen on Sodor. That doesn't make any sense though. Like of course it would. Like that's everything bad still happens on Sodor. It's not any different.
Or stabbings.
Stabbings are easier to process. Like at least that could be like some sort of cool backroom deal between railway engine designers gone wrong. Like
Well, not everything on Sodor has to be train related.
Yes, it does.
I mean that's what
Sodor is the train land.
yeah.
Everything
Well,
is train related.
I'm trying to find something on this layout because I've got the layout little thing right here on the table set up, and I'm trying to find something that isn't train related. I mean, I guess the lighthouse isn't train related. I mean, it's got Sir Topham Hatt on it, but still.
Well, wait. What do you mean it has Sir Topham Hatt on it?
See,
He's talking to the guy.
Really?
The lighthouse
That's
keeper.
so weird. I've never noticed that before. He's just
yeah.
See, it must be the lighthouse near the harbor.
You know something I really love is that the show decided to make the Fat Controller really, really short. I don't know why. I don't know where that idea came from, but like it adds a lot.
Well, I mean, if you were to go like look at fat people, they're usually shorter than skinny people.
No, they're not. That's ridiculous.
That
It's
is
just-
a myth, Dax.
It's just that. Look,
It's not. It's,
Look,
they're so
it's like
fat that they have that gravity affects them more, and so they can't
Maybe
grow
they're
as
like
tall.
massively
That's
obese
incorrect,
people, but
incorrect theory. Look, when somebody is fat, they are the same height, but it's just that they're wider and I don't want to say longer because that's not a human dimension, but they're wider and longer and therefore proportionally look like they're shorter. And it's the same way as like you look at like a tugboat hull, and if you make it a lot wider, all of a sudden it doesn't look as long. But really,
Well, my grandfather was like 500 pounds, but he was 6'3", and he still looked really tall.
well,
when you're
how-
6 foot tall, you still
how
look
fat
6
people
foot
you
tall, no matter how fat
Experience
you are.
I should go get a pillow and stuff it in my shirt. Hold on.
If the Fat Controller wasn't fat, he would just be a really short guy. It's just like
If he wasn't the
interesting
fat
to think
controller, he'd just be the controller.
of. Yeah, he'd just be that. Well, then he'd have some other name though. He would have like sneezed funny one time, and he would be the sneeze controller. Like, you'd have to pick something to be his defining.
But then, like, you know, what would
are we just gonna ignore Dax's time work over in the corner?
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what we're going to do.
He's just gonna keep backing up until he vanishes and he's not here anymore.
That's fine.
Oh, he's coming back.
So running on your knees is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. I have a better idea.
He's
I don't know
a
what
very
I've done.
active boy.
I'm sorry, everyone. The lighthouse operator has fucked up for the last time, and Fat Hat has come to give him the reckoning he deserves.
Fucked up for the last time. That's like so intense. Like, what did he do?
This is the day after the boat runs into Cranky. This is
Yeah.
the day after Cranky bugs.
God.
What the fuck do you think you're doing? Letting boats run aground into my engines.
It just
You're fucking done.
What could he have done? He just failed to turn on the lighthouse. Is it really that hard? Like being a lighthouse keeper. What?
Just like every other railwayman on Sodor, he was asleep on the job.
So, fun fact: the Crosby Station cargo truck actually has 3 people in it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Well, I can see 2 of them at once.
All right. Well, look at 3 of them at once. You can't do it. You know why, Dax?
I'll cut it in half and show myself.
Parallel. Well, at that point, though, Dax, then what have you proven exactly?
That I am willing to go to extreme measures to prove stupid points.
Well, what if you cut it like perpendicular? Then at that point, you've proven that there are now 5 men. So that'd
just be 5. That doesn't make any sense. No, but look, if I cut it down the middle, if I cut it into different pieces.
Okay, so here's my question then for you, Dax. I understand how the guy on the front works, but the guys on the sides, are they just 2-dimensional?
They are actually. They don't.
So
they're invisible from the front.
And then
they're invisible from the front, just as this guy is not, because the other 2 people from the side are blocking him.
Okay.
It's either that or, it's just one person, and Wooden Railway, because it's a toy.
You're inclined to say that those people are actually people, rather than just like a painted silhouette designed to, maybe this guy just wants to carpool a lot, and he just wants to use the carpool lane, and so he's just painted some fake guys on his windows. And then
I was thinking about that, actually. Or there was, I'm assuming you've heard of Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Of course.
It has been years since I've read any of the books, but there was one, I can't remember which one it was, but the older brother was coming home from work, and he put the costume from the place he worked at, he put it in the seat next to him to get into the carpool lane, but then he got pulled over.
And did the cop say good job and then tell him to skedaddle along?
No. He got something. I don't know. Wait a second.
Was he?
I think the troublesome truck is taller than the troublesome brake van. What? No, it's like 2 millimeters off. It's super close.
Maybe it's
Dax goes insane in other Thomas stories.
Maybe it's an illusion. Because the roof is beveled on one and not the other.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, I just put them on the thing. It's really close. Like, I'm looking, like, I've lined up the troublesome truck's walls. It's very, very close, but the troublesome brake van is slightly taller.
I wonder how much variety there is too in something like this. Like because every model can't be exactly the same. There must be a market.
Oh no, definitely not. Here, so I've got 3 different years of gray-faced troublesome truck. This one is from 2001. It's the one with the name on the bottom. Then we have a 1997. This one's been customized a bit.
Yeah.
And then we have a 1992 one, and if you look at them, like the walls are thicker and thinner, and there's just more space overall.
Oh yeah, look
Hard
at
to
that.
see on camera, but if I put and like the 92 one is slightly longer as well. But the walls on this one are much thinner.
That's
Interesting.
fascinating.
If I compare the 92 gray face to the white face, even they are slightly different.
So, how does the Wooden Railway factor in the timeline compared to the show? I know it started 1992. So,
Yeah.
what was
That would have been like season 3, I think.
when did season 3 come out? Was that 1980?
Let me check. All right, Thomas and Friends season 3. Thomas and Friends season 3 came out in 1992. Wow, I'm awesome.
Okay.
I wonder what took it so long. I mean, the show came out.
Well, I mean, they didn't start making seasons every year until the 2000s.
Yeah, I think that was Britt Allcroft's mentality, is that she wanted to have a long working gap between seasons so that she could really get them perfect. And so, rather than it was kind of quality over quantity. I remember when I was young, like there was such
everything makes sense now.
Everything. Yes, I agree.
I bought
everything about Thomas the Tank Engine makes sense now.
I bought a $13 lot off of Facebook Marketplace a while ago, and it came with 2 Wooden Railway roofs. I didn't realize until late. So one of them I knew was
whoa. Wooden Railway roofs. What do you
like
mean by
this,
that?
like the top of Ellsbridge Station, like.
Interesting. Okay, you.
Or the watermill roof also comes off.
I didn't realize this was such a standard part. You're kind of scaring me.
Yeah, look, even the green thing comes off. But anyway, I didn't own Ellsbridge Station until like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Not even. But I owned the roof since December, and I didn't realize it until I got Ellsbridge Station.
That's so weird.
Because I got it in that $13 lot along with what was the really thin wooden railway station that had the block of wood and then the pole?
Oh, that's Ellsbridge Platform.
What? Well, anyway, I've got the roof to that too.
I don't. The wooden railway destinations like really baffle me. The names of a lot of wooden railway stuff they kind of baffle me. Like,
not to mention, my Ellsbridge came with no platform. Wait a second, if that's Ellsbridge Platform, then what's the block of wood sitting under Ellsbridge Station?
The other Ellsbridge Platform, which is encapsulated by the overall title of Ellsbridge Station.
Well, hey, every station think of it this way: every station has a platform, but like there's the station building, and then there's extra platforms like on the other side of the
I just made Ellsbridge Station flying.
If we're being fair, it's all Ellsbridge Station, and platforms are. It's like you have Gordon and you have Gordon's tender, but when you say Gordon, you don't picture him without the tender. So it's like that.
Well, yes.
Well, if I think of eBay listings, I do.
Well, of course you would think of eBay listings, Dax, but most of us just picture an abstract floating concept of Gordon in the back of our heads at all times.
I just bought a second Muffle Mountain today for $5.
You got what?
You know what? No, I was about to question it, but at the same time, I'd be the guy who would buy multiples of destinations. So,
well, see,
yeah. Multiples of destinations is fine. It's multiples of engines that I sometimes don't get.
So I've got Muffle Mountain. I got it for Christmas along with a second mountain tunnel and the Goldmine Mountain Tunnel.
That's a lot of mountains.
I know, right? I kind of died when I opened the box. So my mother, one of her friends messaged her on Facebook, and she knew that I liked Thomas, and she's like, "Hey, I've got all this stuff. You want to buy it from me?" So she bought all of this stuff for $50. 2 boxes, like 20 by 15 by 20 inches. It was like 2 of them for $50, and it had Muffle Mountain, a mountain tunnel, the Goldmine Mountain Tunnel, tons of clickety clack traction rail.
This kid must have loved Elevation.
That's so cool.
It was amazing. So now I have 2 full mountain tunnels, half of a mountain tunnel, the Golden Mine Mountain Tunnel, Muffle Mountain, and a second Muffle Mountain on its way because I don't like the mountain tunnel. I much prefer Muffle Mountain.
Dax, you talk at all times like you've just cracked the biggest conspiracy theory.
I know, right?
It's quite endearing though. I wouldn't have you any other way.
He talks as if like he's just like been hit with the speed force and he doesn't know how to slow down yet.
You know, I actually almost made my profile picture the Flash's emblem for this stream.
That's scary. So you predicted. What else did you? You said
I predicted making Top Hat.
Yes, you predicted that, and you predicted.
So it was only This is what I was thinking. I was thinking you'd make Top Hat out of that. You said it was a harbor tug.
Yeah.
So, because earlier today I was looking at a picture of Top Hat and I was like, the hull of Top Hat kind of looks like the thing that Lemmy's making. Because I noticed that. I remember.
It's the.
I was in your
same
stream for that part where you were saying you might as well fix it now because it'll be harder to fix later because you're making that little square thing on the front of the hull.
Right.
So that's what I was, because I saw that on Top Hat and I was like, oh wait, they're the same.
It's so interesting how people pop in and so they haven't seen the whole stream, but the part they see when they pop in, they can quote to me. It's like so interesting. That's happened with like 5 different people where they're like, oh, I popped in at this part and I heard that. Like if they all came together, they could then recreate the stream from all their bits and components. Not really, but yeah, I might do that. Oh, you're cosplaying as Pikachu now.
Yeah, I just found this hat on the table next to me. I don't even like Pokemon.
You
I don't
just
know where it
found
came
it.
from.
You have no
I
idea
just
where it
found-
comes from.
Are these socks or?
Anyway,
I
so
found socks.
I think I could. I'm not against making one of those Harbor Tugs Top Hat because I've got 2 of
We
them.
found a bottle of alcohol.
Don't drink it. Don't lie. Don't pretend you're drinking it either.
Yeah, I don't want bad things to happen.
Bad things have already happened.
Okay, I don't want bad things to happen to my channel.
Anymore.
Don't drink alcohol at all at your age, Dax, but also on Rudy Productions trademark.
Those socks made my arms itchy.
I'm sorry to hear
That's
that.
what you get. That's what
My
you
hair
deserve.
looks amazing right now.
It does, I'll be honest. It is. I wish I had mine goes straight down like this. I wish it kind of had that like pop. That's a little bit better than
Actually,
Meanwhile,
Eric.
I just wish mine would like grow just enough that I don't look bald, but like stop growing fast. Because I'm starting to thin out up top. I'm not even 20 yet. I'm already starting to thin out up top.
look.
But at the same time, the rest of my
excellent-
hair grows like weeds.
We'll just do a comb over.
Oh dear, oh dear.
But
I mean, if I started going bald, I'd have no idea because I've got so much hair.
On the bright side, Dustin, I mean, there's no shame in being like the fat controller in the hair department.
In the hair department.
You can't see it, but my hands are up. It's like, look, I'm like this, and I'm like this. No shame.
See, I kind of imagined like a King Tut mummy thing like
Oh,
this.
that works better. This is probably the better format.
Yeah, that is better actually. That's look at what I spurred on. Excellent.
I
Wouldn't
I wanna
Rowan
get
Edward- wouldn't
the
Rowan
mountain
Edward
tunnel.
says, remember when
But I
he
wanna-
called track plan banter character gallery?
The other day, I was like talking about like, you know, I was trying to plug my show, but instead of saying track plan banter, I said character gallery.
Hey, that's a lot better than when I am trying to just talk about community radio and then I say character gallery. That's the most arrogant thing in the world.
Honestly,
I'm like,
I think
oh,
that's
yes,
better
character
because
gallery.
at least it's
Also
like
known
it's
as
your
character
part
gallery,
of
basically.
like you have a good reason for that. Like,
I suppose.
now if you called community radio like literally any other show, then that might be a bit
People would be
weird.
confused. They'd be like, okay, why are you calling a community radio Thomas Mysteries? Like, why is that on your brain right now?
That would
You're trying
probably
to come up
be
with a
weirdest,
selected channel there.
given like I'm pretty sure Thomas Mysteries, no offense to Solomon, has probably the least uploads of
Well, I mean, that's
of our
because
show.
of his own like decision.
Well, no.
Yeah,
What about
that's why I was saying, like, no offense to
Yeah.
Solomon. I'm just stating, like,
what about Soto Streets and Statues?
oh, yeah,
Poor
I-
Ted.
I forgot about Soto Streets and Statutes.
See, that's how little it gets uploaded.
The poor bastard. He's a Ted Ted is the reason community radio came back largely. He was instrumental in it.
And he
then
was there and then he left.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey guys, let's bring back my old show. Bye."
You should have gone for the head.
Oh my
Ted
God.
would be a great Thanos.
There's no such thing as a great Thanos, okay? I don't think so, at least.
What
Except
if we
for-
recreated the pilot episode of Flash, but with community members?
That would be kind of. I feel like if we were making something on that scale, we'd want to write it from scratch, whatever it was. That would be actually pretty great.
When are we gonna have a live
Let's
action
remake the
thing at the
Snyder
community?
Cut with community members.
My knee has been hurting. Like, I just touched my knee and it really, really hurts. But I realized that yesterday I ran full speed into the side of the sofa.
Okay.
For a minute, I was about to say
I was
you're
gonna
no
go jump
longer
on my
for no
dog.
reason.
But then I jumped and I hit my knee into the side of the sofa.
I was about to say that you're not allowed to hurt for no good reason yet, Dax. You're not old enough for that. I'm not old enough for that, and I'm still doing it.
Yes,
like,
yeah. Well,
The other
Dustin,
week,
you are
like my arm
spiritually-
just hurt for no reason at all.
You're spiritually in your 40s or 50s, Dustin. You
I-
have
Except I'm
outmatured
not. I am like simultaneously spiritually in my 30s while also being like 10.
yourself. Yeah. It's a
I
good
just shoved my
combination.
index finger into my knee. Hold on, can I pull it out
Got
of
it.
my arm?
Don't do anything.
Hold on, if you pull on your finger really hard, you can feel it in your wrist. Like, you can feel your
Yeah.
hands coming off of your
That-
wrist a bit.
That's how the body works.
Can I pull off my fingers?
I appreciate these kind of metaphysical stoner thoughts because it's nice to kind of appreciate the world sometimes, you know?
How
You ever just look at your
easy
hand?
is it, or how hard is it rather, to dislocate your thumb?
If you're all
I'm-
clean, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, see, that's what I've been thinking about. And it makes me kind of want to learn how to dislocate my thumb, which is the weird bit.
Yeah, I know, because it seems so easy. You just look at your hand and you're like, I could totally see
And you
I
just-
could do that. But it's just
I
if you did
think
it,
the
you'd
scene
immediately
from
regret it.
Elseworlds.
I don't know what a
where
dislocated
Barry
thumb looks like. The
and-
only thing I can do with my thumb is touch it to my wrist. But hold on.
I think the scene from Elseworlds where Barry and Oliver are in the cell together, and Oliver's like, "Barry, you're gonna have to break your thumb. You're gonna have
You're
to."
gonna have to break your thumb, shove it down the toilet, and back up the plumbing so we can get out of this meta-human prison.
I think just that.
You're
whole
all in
sequence-
meta-human prison.
I just think that sequence is probably my favorite like scene between those two, just because
That-
like they're just being the complete opposite.
See,
Yeah.
that's
Other.
the second time that Oliver has had to tell someone that he cares about to dislocate a part of their body to escape a prison that they own. Because the first time he had to have Sia dislocate her shoulder so that they could get out of the one on Leanne Yu.
God damn it. That shows the kind of life he leads.
That life would be awesome, aside from when he gets tortured and shot and stabbed.
Which is, 75% of it, right?
Exactly. So like 25% of the show would be awesome to live.
Yeah, the part where you're a rich guy.
Well, I mean,
You're a
he's
rich
like
guy
a
and you're
trillionaire,
fucking
but
bad guy.
then they lose everything after Isabel Rochev takes over Queen Consolidated. But even then, after Moira admitted to blowing up the Glades, it kind of just the stock prices. Wait, the Muffle Mountain is an accurate description of Queen Consolidated stock prices over the years.
I swear to God.
Glades. It's
That's
perfect. I was once going to repaint a James into, like, if the Flash was an engine.
I feel like if you were gonna make somebody the Flash, it wouldn't be James though. I feel like if you had to make an engine the Flash, it wouldn't be Gordon.
Well, I mean, he's
Gordon
red.
would be-
There was one thing about, the fastest red engine on Sodor.
That's disgusting. Like, why did the show?
And
No,
the
but-
minis made him the Flash, too.
Yeah, but the minis also made Skarloey the Red Arrow. And they
Wait,
also
really?
made Edward Black Adam.
And they
They made
Paxton Lex
Ares
Luthor and
Shazam.
the whole front end made out of-
Okay, never mind then. Gordon should have been the Flash because he's fast and also Flash Gordon.
And they never made Oliver Green Arrow.
I'm
Well,
gonna
they
say
never made Oliver, period.
they never made
Exactly.
Green Arrow, and they never made.
Yeah,
Green
they
Arrow.
should make Green Arrow, but they don't have Green Arrow.
I think
I want to
can
make an
see
engine
them not
called
making
Red Arrow.
I don't think though that I would choose Gordon to be the Flash because he's fast, like that's his thing, but not in the right way.
He's not
like
the
this-
fastest man alive.
He's fast like Superman. Is
Okay, but neither is Barry. There's like 6 speedsters that are faster than him.
But look, in the general zeitgeist, Barry is the fastest man alive, right? If you just look generally at that,
He's not the fastest man. He's the fastest man alive.
There's a lot of dead.
But I mean,
fast-
Eobard Thawne is kind of still alive because,
But he's also kind of dead. And
well,
alive.
I guess, have you both seen the Flash pilot of season 7? Or if I talk
I
about it,
have
we'll
not-
spoil it.
I have not finished season 6 yet, even.
We did
I-
enough spoiling the last time I was on one of these. I don't think we should do it again. Frankly, I think we should change the topic just in case there's anybody here who will suffer greatly as a result. And also, I don't watch the CW shows anymore because they got really annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. The
I-
season 7 trailer was disappointing.
I think
It-
where did
it-
I
it's-
drop off exactly. I think I
The
stopped
whole plot
watching-
felt rushed.
I stopped watching after what was it called? Crisis on.
Crisis on
There have
Infinite
literally been like 3 crises.
Okay, it's the
Crisis
most
on
recent
Infinite Earths.
There was
Yeah,
Crisis
okay,
on
it
Earth
really was
X, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
It was dramatically disappointing. I just did not like it. It felt like they were making all the wrong choices and character pairings were weird and like they just did the wrong things with all the characters. I felt
Crisis on Earth
Also-
X or Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Infinite Earths.
Yeah,
I liked Infinite Earths.
I like
I didn't
Infinite
know.
Earths, but I can also look back on it and see like, this didn't exactly work.
Okay, look, everybody. Spoilers. I feel I gotta say why I didn't like certain things in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Well, okay, if you are a fan of the CW and you haven't seen that yet, then you're not a fan of the CW.
Yeah, that's kind of true. But
That's
what
like
if
being
someone's
a
starting
Star
out-
Wars
what if
fan,
they
but then
started
not
right
watching
now?
the new Star Wars.
What if they just started watching? Like, it's gonna take them a year to get to that point. But
Well, if they just started watching, they probably found out about it from like season 6
well,
or
yeah, I'm just
something.
saying. All right, if you don't want spoilers, then leave. For like 5-10 minutes. But anyway.
Oh, but quick, Wooden Railway Edward. No, there's no real requirements.
For
Uh,
what?
He's doing an application to the show.
See, the requirement is to be awesome, and you are awesome, so you can be on the show.
That's really motivational. I like that thinking. Anyway, Crisis on Infinite Earths. They killed Oliver for no reason. Then he came back to life, and then they killed him again. What was the point?
Well,
Mhm.
I will say, I think in the comics, every Spectre has been dead.
I don't even know what Spectre is. Like, I'm sorry. Here's the thing.
Apparently it's like the most powerful being in the entire DC
Look,
universe.
Here's the feeling. I started getting this feeling off of the CW, which is why I stopped watching it. It started feeling really Marvel-y. it didn't feel like DC, because I what I come to DC for is like it's like characters like Batman and Superman, and not the fact that I need to see those characters, but I want to see characters like them. Like how do I describe this? Like here's the thing. The whole Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, I don't know what it was in the comics, but I do know the general idea of how DC feels to me in the comic books that I've read and the vibe I get off of DC Comics. And I started not getting that vibe at all off of the CW. And, like with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the way I would have done it, I wouldn't have brought in this Monitor guy and this Anti-Monitor guy. I don't know who they are. I don't care about them. Bring in, if you want a big badass Thanos type guy, bring in Darkseid, right?
He even looks like Thanos.
Yeah, he even look. It was just purely like it really just seemed like they were just trying to.
I have a theory, and it's that Thanos is actually they were just like Marvel was just copying DC because Thanos came out 3 years after Darkseid.
I mean, that's kind of the case with a lot of Marvel characters, but it's also
they were just like
DC ones.
Or the one that I can't remember her name, but she's an ice character, like she can turn to diamond or something. But she came out like immediately after Killer Frost.
I'm sure that there's tons of copying going on. Darkseid, Thanos, C1s and H1s, etc. The point is that it's like it's about what they do with it now. He's just audio only now. I can hear him, but I can't see him.
He even muted his mic though.
I can't even hear him.
Us.
But I will continue my point, which is just the fact that it's just not like choose a character if you want a big bad that is trying to dominate the entire universe. Like I want to know who it is. Make it like the CW has a bad habit of introducing a brand new guy and then treating him like he's hot shit. And it's like, no, you have to be in the show for like 7 seasons before you're hot shit. And there's all this terrible feeling of entitlement.
So the one thing I don't like about this sentiment is that it's this kind of sentiment that keeps us from getting a show like Arrow. Because no one knew who the Arrow was until he had a show.
They didn't, but the show was about him, and they didn't treat him like he was hot shit in episode 1 and try to make him look super... Like here's the thing. They didn't try to make jokes, or they didn't try to make jokes about like how hardcore and stone-faced Oliver was in the first episode. They built up his character and then earned the right to make those jokes.
Right.
I don't have a problem with them introducing the Monitor or the Anti-Monitor.
I didn't know that the Arrow was a comic book character.
He can't be the biggest deal in the whole universe until he's been in the show for a few seasons.
I think this is where they were actually smart with. I think this is where they were actually smart with introducing him in Elseworlds. But what they should have done
in the first season of The Flash, they like that's the thing. You can't do an event like this.
I don't think it works if you introduce a godlike character in season 1.
The Spectre or the Monitor?
That's the thing. They should have
the Monitor.
Here's what I would have liked to see. Here's what would have been satisfying to me. It's not so much the fact that I want them to torpedo the Flash with some god character that doesn't belong in the first season. Like I get that. But what I'm saying is like make it someone I care about. Like imagine if instead in Crisis on Infinite Earths, they really, get liberal with the source material and instead like the Reverse Flash comes back and somehow, ascends to godhood and takes over the entire universe. That would be awesome, right? That would be so much cooler because I actually give a shit about the Reverse Flash.
Reverse Flash is awesome.
Who the hell cares who the Monitor is? I don't
exactly. No one wanted him.
And that's the thing. It's like I don't. It needs to be somebody that somebody who, I mean that's what it is to me anyway. And the CW kept making those decisions.
Did anyone notice that the show started going down once Barry and Iris, once Iris started catching feelings for Barry?
Once she started what?
Once Barry and Iris started dating.
I don't think it started going down then.
Season 2 was when they kind of started, and that was a little bit worse. And then season 3, I mean, like he proposed to her, and that was just. And then season 4, they were married, and season 4 is horrible.
Here's the thing.
I think season 3 and 4 are 2 of the best seasons.
Yeah,
Seasons 1 and 2 are better.
Here's what I
Definitely.
think. For
Season
the
3
Flash,
is.
I loved the Flash. Where it went downhill was the Cicada season. That was terrible.
That was
hated
also
Cicada.
a very, very bad season. That was the
But
worst
I
season.
did hate Cicada.
Yeah, but the first 4 seasons were awesome. I think.
I don't like the
loved
Thinker.
The Thinker was so clever. I'm not just. I mean, he was really like that was such a clever like way to actually like. He thought fast. He didn't just act fast. It was a new type of fast. They were being so clever with a concept we already care about, which is Barry's speed. So they were taking it into like a new realm. I loved that. But then Cicada was just about Barry vaguely being a metahuman. Like there's tons of metahumans. I don't care about metahumans. I care about the fast guy. That's what this show is about.
I care about the fast one, Mom.
Yeah, that's the point of the show, right? If there was like another show that was about somebody who was more broad and was just a metahuman, you know, and it didn't have a specific motif, then Cicada would make sense.
Well, there is a show about that. It's called Black Lightning. There is a show about that. It's called Black Lightning.
No, Black Lightning's electricity, though. And
He's basically a metahuman. He's basically the Flash without super speed. And the ability to time travel. He's like the Flash, but not cool. He's got none of the cool abilities.
Black Lightning is
Lightning's awesome. Black Lightning is the
Black Lightning is the worst show.
Are you kidding me? Black Lightning's the best show on the CW, hands down, for me at least. Let me tell you
Batwoman is the worst CW show.
That's the second worst.
Batwoman is terrible. It's terrible because they kept trying to turn her into Bruce. She writes a letter to Bruce every episode saying, Bruce, I'm like you. Look at how I'm like, no, bullshit. You don't need to mention that to me.
Well, to be fair, I haven't seen either show, so I can't really judge.
I will say I didn't care for the whole writing to Bruce, but I also didn't hate it. But when I liked it was so spoilers for season 2 of Batwoman. I'm actually caught up on season 2.
Wait, season 2's coming out?
Season 2 is like they're like on their 5th episode.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. So Dax, do you care for spoilers for Batwoman? Or
I doubt I'll ever watch it.
Okay. So Ruby Rose, who's playing Kate Kane, left the show.
Yeah.
So
Wait, really?
Even she didn't like it.
Holy shit. Why?
Well, apparently it was initially related to an injury. But then COVID happened and things piled up and I guess she decided to leave. Honestly, I think the way things were worded, I think she actually does intend to come back. I have a theory, but we're going to get to that. So what they did was they introduced a brand new character, which is part of the reason why I think she's coming back, because otherwise they would have just recast her. I'm
not sure. The CW's MO seems to be trying to like skirt, like they don't seem to like to recast people unless it's like the reverse.
They did for Superman and Lois. Morgan Edge is a completely different person.
Yeah, but Morgan Edge is also a minor character.
Well, yeah, but bigger characters, I think they tend to rewrite the whole thing around that, which is another thing I don't like.
And also, this is post-Crisis. We haven't seen him since Crisis. So
why would he be a British? That doesn't make any sense. And another thing that doesn't make any sense, why does in Superman and Lois they have red
hold on,
laser
what is
vision?
Superman and Lois? What is this? Is this actually real news that Superman and Lois?
It's a new Superman and Lois have a show now. It's probably the best show on CW right now.
I heard
really good show.
I forgot that was happening. That's
really, it's actually really good.
I recommend it.
Is it good?
Good.
It's really good.
Okay, that's good news. But
they have
red. It feels nothing like Supergirl. It feels nothing like Supergirl.
Well, that's not good news for me because I like Supergirl. So
I really like Supergirl. The Flash and Supergirl are just.
I like Supergirl too, but I like that. Like what I like about Supergirl is that she's still learning, kind of. Like we started off with this.
I think she stopped learning.
Let me rephrase that. We started with her knowing nothing about her powers. We've seen her grow.
That's true. So I guess in the early days they were very different. So it's not starting the same as Superman started.
Yeah, right now we're starting with Superman who, like, he's not really retired, but at the same time, like, he's still one of the greatest heroes on Earth, but at the same time,
He's got
not,
children
like,
now, and they're teenagers, and they're in high school.
yeah. It's more about the family aspect than the Supermaning, which I think is great.
Interesting.
Because I don't think a Superman show should ever be I don't think the focus should be a Monster of the Week thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'd have to see it for myself because I'm not really sure what I'd expect from that. It's interesting because Supergirl is kind of like I watched like back when I still watched the show. Stopped watching all the CW shows at once, but some of them were better than others. Like when I stopped watching, I did like where Supergirl was. I loved what they were doing with Lex. I loved Supergirl as a character. And the thing is, like what I liked
season 4 of Supergirl is my favorite season of the Arrowverse ever.
Season
really
season 4.
That was the first one that had Lex.
Yeah.
Wait. Who was the? Hold on, I gotta.
Like Supergirl. Supergirl is basically
4.
Superman in that show. Like after she got
season,
which was pretty early on, but from that point onward, she was pretty much just Superman.
Oh yeah, okay, so that's when they had Neonal and stuff.
Yeah, that was Agent Liberty. I
didn't
like Agent Liberty, but I do like the rest of season 4.
I hated Agent Liberty at first, but then later on, what they did with him was really interesting. Where he is kind of supposed to be a pathetic, sniveling coward of a person, and so like as you go on and kind of learn, you kind of see him through a different lens.
You stop hating him. You stop hating him, and stop loving hating him.
Yeah, like in the way you're supposed to hate a villain. Like, because the thing is, at first it just seemed like they were trying to make him a really badass, scary villain. But then later on, he's kind of a pawn. So like, it's a totally. Then you're like, oh, okay, no, the characters in the world understand.
Basically, when Lex has his it's Lex all along episode. After that, you're like, I love everything about this season now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It changed the whole season for me once I figured out it was Lex behind everything. That was so much cooler, and it reaffirmed Agent Liberty being he just kind of seemed like a doofus to me the whole season, and then he kind of was in the end. So I was like, okay, well, now I feel reaffirmed, right? And so anyway, I love Supergirl, but like the thing about that show is,
and of course, having a final battle to kickstart my heart was the most epic shit ever. So,
just a little fun fact side note that you probably already know, but I'm going to say it anyway. The guy who plays Agent Liberty voices Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels, and the guy who played Wade Eiling, General Wade Eiling, he voiced Savage Opress in Clone Wars.
Interesting.
So,
I don't have any ground.
Oh, and another fun fact. Like, this is a fun fact. The woman who plays McKenna Hall in season 1 of Arrow went to the same high school as my mother, but 2 years after my mother left. And the guy, John Barrowman, the guy who plays Malcolm Merlin, went to my mother's high school 2 years before her. But she went at the same time as my Aunt Kimmy. So
that's weird. That's crazy.
John Barrowman is a treasure.
He's awesome.
I can't not see him as Captain Jack Harkness anymore after watching Dr. Hill.
How do you guys rank all the CW shows? And I dumb it down for me as of like a year ago, because I haven't seen Superman and Lois. I haven't just everything before, everything a year and prior. How would you rank all the shows?
That's hard for me because I tend to do it on a season by season basis.
That's fair. For me, it's pretty overarching. Like, I think I really liked The Flash, but then started hating it after The Thinker because I hated Cicada. There were parts where I really didn't like Supergirl, but then Lex came in and then it was really cool. Like, Supergirl is interesting because there were parts of the show I really didn't like, but then there were
I think for Supergirl, like season 3 was like the one season I didn't like. Season 1 wasn't great. Season 2 was okay. Season 3 was the one with the dark Kryptonians or whatever they were.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't like that. Rain was a bad villain.
I didn't like them at all. That was weird. That's the
Don't
type
you
of thing
hate
I
it when you forget to bid on an eBay auction?
I do hate that on the rare occasion that I bid
Well,
on
I
it.
don't bid
Well,
on
I've
eBay.
done it about 6 times in the past week.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm not even kidding. I just forgot to bid on a Hector, and so I lost out on a Hector for $2.
God, that's would have been really good. I'm sorry. But then what other shows?
Oh, and I forgot to bid on a 1992 Greyface for $12 and a 1992 Herald for $5.
Even worse.
Okay.
I'm really bad at this.
So
Back to DC.
Sorry, I needed to complain.
Arrow, I don't like Arrow.
I've grown to like it.
There were parts of the show I really liked, but mostly it just felt like Batman, but without the humanity, if that makes sense. It felt like all the things that the Dark Knight did to Batman, it was just those things. That's kind of like how it felt.
I hate Arrow in season 6 and season 7.
The thing is, I do like that some of the characters are really good. Like Oliver as a character is great at parts, but then like there were a lot of points throughout the seasons where like they kind of try to paint him like he's in the wrong, oh Oliver, you still haven't learned your lesson.
Yeah,
and
I think that's
he had,
I
and they
think it
kept
like
moving
really
on.
starts in season 6. Like season 6 and 7 are the worst about like, oh Oliver, you're the bad guy in this situation. It's like, bitch, what
The only bits of
do?
season 7 that I enjoy are the bits that take place in future Star City. That was awesome.
I didn't like him at all, and the reason it's the same thing as this is the same thing as Batwoman. Is like they really like feel like they need to try really really hard. That when they bring in like a new female superhero that's kind of like an equivalent to a male superhero, they feel like they really have to push that they are like similar, and it's like it's obvious that they're similar. You don't have to say it over and over again. If Kate acts like Bruce, that will be obvious to the audience without you saying it. You don't have to keep saying it. Just
Someone
make
said
her
in chat.
badass and then have it follow. You know, don't cram it down people's throats. Just put her on screen and make her cool on her own merits, and people will get it, right? But instead they keep pushing that. And the same thing with like Mia in Arrow. I keep wanting to say Green Arrow. It is Arrow.
What, Nia
But like
or Mia? Mia or Nia?
Mia,
with an F.
Okay, yeah.
Future
Oliver's daughter.
Yeah, she was cool. I liked her.
Yeah,
I
I did have to
parts.
like Mia.
I liked her character. I liked how she behaved, but I just didn't like how they kept trying to like really. They were really ham-fisted about trying to parallel her with Oliver, and she is similar to Oliver.
I
but
tend
like,
to just ignore bits like that. Like for me, that's a formatting issue.
yeah,
I don't get worried about formatting issues.
Yeah, it was just so common though that it just really bugged me. But mainly,
Yeah.
I think it's just I didn't like us jumping into the future so much when there was a story to tell in the present. There's also that as well, where
Right.
I don't know. It was kind of
The reason I liked it is because Arrow had kind of become defined by the flashbacks.
yeah. So
And
it was a clever mechanic if they used it a
Yeah.
certain way. But
like I figured like, oh, you have like because like season 5 it did perfect where like you saw the beginning of season 1 at the end of the flashbacks.
it like structurally that was really a great idea.
Yeah. I feel like if they had went on if season 6 they had started doing flashbacks and then kept Arrow going for 5 more seasons, it would have had the potential to like work out the same way where at the end of season 5 at the end of Arrow season 10 you're going into the flash forward from season 6, except they didn't do that, which I mean I get it, like it's hard to make a show last 10 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think the problem is just the fact that they were taking us into the future, but like, I don't really like going into the future in the CW shows because I don't think the future is very well thought out. I feel like they're changing the story from season to season.
Yeah,
so like, what I'm seeing isn't going to matter in a few seasons because it's all going to change. And this is the same thing as Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths is the fact that like. They built up to forever the fact that Barry was going to die in a crisis. and then they
Yeah.
just got they just got cold feet, and then Barry just let some other guy kill himself so that he could live. Like, that's not Barry.
Barry didn't really let him.
Yeah, he did. He's the fucking Flash. I'm sorry. Like, you could have written it so that he would, like, it was the writer. Here's the thing. Like, the writers concocting a scenario where Barry got out of that situation. It felt to me like when a really rich person commits a crime and then they get the best lawyers and they get them out of it. That's what that felt like to me. It's
I did not like
out.
that.
Yeah, it's like
because
Sia in season 1.
It was so predictable. I liked the moment from the context of wrapping up like that Barry Allen story. Like,
that's the problem. The way to wrap up that Barry Allen story was to kill Barry permanently. That was the answer, and they won't ever do that.
What I'm talking about is I liked it from the perspective of wrapping up old Barry's.
The Barry from the 70s, like the 70s Flash.
Yeah, that was kind of giving a closure on a show that never got a proper end. So I liked it from that.
Yeah, I think
so.
I think it's really cool that they recast him as Flash.
I have no idea.
And Jay Garrick, the original Flash as Jay Garrick.
I have no clue who that guy is. The only live action TV show I've ever watched that had anything to do with DC was the 1966 Batman series in totality. Before I watched the CW shows, right? I never saw.
Well, I mean, I've never seen them either. I just know about them.
Flash show. I never saw any of that, right? I don't care about that. I care about the characters as a concept. I don't care about the people.
Which is where I'm getting to it. Like, I do like it from one perspective, but on the other hand, like, they had the opportunity. They could have just, I mean, it's canonical in the comics that when Barry dies in Infinite Earths, he just outruns death. You could have excuse my pun, ran with that.
Yeah, that would have been really cool if, like, it's just the fact that he threw in a guy that I guess some people had some, like, I understand there's a lot of stuff in the show, in the CW shows, that people probably thought was really cool because they had the context. I didn't have that context. I just watched the CW shows. And so that just felt like some random guy coming in there and stealing Barry's thunder, essentially. However, so it would have been a lot cooler if Barry outran death, right? That would have actually been really badass if he's like going through and like, he's
honestly,
like breaking the sound barrier.
What does outrun death mean?
Well, how I would have handled that.
I know almost nothing about the comics, so I don't know what happened to him in the comics.
In Crisis on Infinite Earths, when Barry dies, it's like he runs into the Speed Force or something like that, and I'm not quite sure what happens. They call it outrunning death. It's not literally outrunning death.
Does he ever come back?
Yes, he does. Like, decades later, they were like, all right, we want to bring back Barry Allen. We'll just say he never actually died.
Thing, right, is the fact that the comics had the balls to make those changes, right? And the CW doesn't. Here's what I wish would have happened. You remember that? I don't remember what season it was, but
if I could just finish what I was trying to say, is that what I would have done was I would have had the rest of season 6 have no Barry Allen. Like, Barry Allen's return would be the finale of season 6.
See, that would have been cooler, definitely. I
think what they should have done was
CW. I don't expect CW to like fully lean into we're going to kill off Barry Allen for multiple seasons.
I don't expect that either, and so it's fair, but you have to at least make it seem like a big deal, and that's what they did. Do. I guess what I wish. I understand if they don't want to kill off the Flash, but then don't put the fucking newspaper clipping in season 1 in the entire show and make a big deal out of it if you're not going to follow through on it. And they made that choice. I didn't need to see the newspaper.
What if they killed him, like, in Crisis, and then they had the rest of season 6 with no Barry, but then instead of him coming back in the finale, they try to bring him back in the finale, and we don't actually know what happens until the next season.
See, that would be cool, right? Like, if you had that, like, so I guess I would be on board with there being a space with no Barry, but the point is you have to at least feel that there's been an impact from Barry making that sacrifice, and instead he didn't make the sacrifice at all. Some other guy did, and like that was the gross thing. And also just the fact that like it was like weird how like they brought Black Lightning into it, but not his family, when his family is such a crucial part of his character in his show. Like, they just brought him and he's like, where's my family? And they're like, oh, they're probably dead. And he's like, oh shit. He's like, he's just having a meltdown.
I don't have too big of an issue with that, because I think this was just trying to connect everything. Like, it was.
Yes, but like, here's the thing. Crisis on Infinite Earths, at its core, just from what I understand about it as just a comic book fan, as a concept, as an event, as a spectacle, as a pay-per-view event, right? It is an enormous crossover between everything that takes the best parts of everything. That's what it's supposed to be. And instead, they did take the best parts of everything. They took really weird parts of some things. And so,
Right.
like, you know, the fact that, like, they took Black Lightning but not his family, that didn't encapsulate the show Black Lightning very well. And I feel like then don't include him if you're not going to do something that encapsulates.
I almost wonder if they were going for like a Hawkeye Avengers Endgame sort of thing, but like didn't really follow through with it, because this is a TV show with a 5-episode crossover, not, you know, a multi-million-dollar budget movie that's been a finale.
What were they doing with Hawkeye? What is that? What is that?
So in Infinity War, you know, Thanos erases half of everything.
Right.
In the opening of Endgame, we see Hawkeye with his family moments before the snap, and he's just having a fun time with his family. It's just basically an ordinary day. He like turns around, and then he turns back, and like there's just dust floating through the sky.
All right. So I could.
And then we get a flashback to 5 years later, and it's been 5 years. His family's been dead.
Okay, so his primary motivation is the absence of his family, which then gives them a major role in the story, even though they're not there. Okay,
Does Spider-Man Homecoming take place in the future?
If they had
Or Spider-Man Far From Home?
Far From Home takes place after Endgame.
Does Far From
but
Home
like,
take place?
my problem with
It's
that
place in 2024. What?
if they had an equivalent scene,
How did I not know this?
if they had an equivalent scene like that with like on Black Lightning or something along those lines.
I don't know. I haven't even seen Endgame.
Yeah, me neither. I don't watch anything Marvel. I'm a DC guy.
Either. I like the Spider-Man movies. I like those.
And this is my problem with the CW, is that the fact that we're making these comparisons at all is a little gross to me, because DC and Marvel really aren't comparable. They're so different. Like, DC it's not necessarily more realistic or relatable, but it's more grounded. As in,
Quick 1 second. Guys, I never promised this would be a Thomas-related stream. Nowhere in the title does it say that this is a Thomas stream.
Yeah, but it's not in your channel.
This is a dude's hang stream. Yes, my channel is majority Thomas, but that's just because that's easier content to
You
make.
changed it?
And
Oh, we have to
a
cancel you now for being
complete
sexist.
multiverse containing both Marvel, DC, Transformers, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and literally everything under the sun.
hopefully
I
taking
liked
the
all of
best
those
parts
except
of all
Doctor Who and Transformers.
but anyway, I've got to go.
What about Indiana Jones?
I've got to go in like 5 minutes, so I'll wrap up my points. But like the reason that I stopped watching the CW was just because it stopped feeling like DC, and it was already on the borderline when I first started watching it with my sister. But when like it got to the point where they were like, it felt like they were trying to parallel Marvel stuff and doing it poorly. It just felt gross. Like the way that like they did Crisis on Infinite Earths. Again, like I think DC's strength is that it creates a motif for its characters, and it leans hard into that motif, like super hard, ridiculously, almost laughably hard, right? Like the fact Joker is all about clown stuff, right? Batman's all about bats. It's like that's a huge thing, right? To the point where like, they make jokes about that in the comics, and it comes up at times that maybe aren't even appropriate, and that makes it more enjoyable. It like really leans into certain motifs. And the problem is, so in that way, those stories appeal to me. DC stories really appeal to me because they always make decisions that are very, very relevant to what we know about the character. Everything ties in that way. And the way they did Crisis on Infinite Earths should have been that way, where they find something relevant to what we've seen already. The conflict should be like the Speed Force has some sort of critical problem and is going to wipe out the whole universe or something
Well,
like that, right?
I mean, it
'Cause
kinda
I've actually
did.
seen the Speed Force the whole show, right? What's that, Dax?
Well, it kind of did.
Was that what Crisis on Infinite Earths was about, though?
Yeah, because the Speed Force is gone.
Not gone. It's the
Yeah, the
primary
Speed Force is
conflict.
gone.
No, I know it, but was it the primary conflict?
I mean,
Like,
are you
did
talking
it take
about
the place of
post?
the Anti-Monitor?
Are you
Well,
talking
no,
about?
that's kind of the one of the big problems. Like throughout the entirety of season 6, it's that Barry's has a limited amount of speed
But
left.
that wasn't. But no, there's a difference, and this is what the CW
That's
doesn't get.
that's a consequence. That is not the reason.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's a huge difference between something happening and something being used in the right way. Like, I know a lot of these things happen, right? On paper, you could say they happened, but they weren't presented the way that they should have been. They weren't given the gravity that they deserved, right? Like, the Monitor was treated as the biggest deal in the entire show, or the Anti-Monitor, or whatever the hell, right? You know, those like, the Anti-Monitor was treated as like the biggest villain of the whole show, and he didn't deserve that title. He didn't deserve that role at all, because he only showed up like a season earlier or something like that. I mean, if you want to take your villains from the very beginning and you want to build them up and build them up and build them up and build them up and then make them the greats, right? That's what you want to do, right? That's
Just
why
a minute.
Batman
Hey,
and Wonder Woman are the Trinity. It's because they were in the comics pretty much first, right?
Just a minute, Lenny.
Batman and Superman are the 40s. So, you take the guys that people are most familiar with and you put them together in the same team. That's very loud.
Lenny, just a minute. Dax. What you're doing, it's causing so much extra noise. Your mic picks up so loud, it drowns out.
really?
Yeah.
Why do people do sit-ups in calls? Why do so many people do this? I don't understand the desire.
Wait, people do this?
Roman does this. That's about it, actually. But anyway, so yeah. The point being, right? It's like the Justice League. What is the Justice League? It's taking all of the best characters that the company owns, the most successful brands, and then putting them together. That's what you're doing, right? And so if you want to take a villain and put them up against the Justice League, you're going to choose your best villain, right? It's like that sort of thinking is, I think, what makes great comic book writing.
So,
they didn't, and so what did they do? They're like, okay, who's our best villain in the CW? The Anti-Monitor. He's been in the show. Let's put him in.
So the way you're looking at it is, you want to see the best villain from the show when they're taking the best villain from the pool of characters that they have to offer.
Right, which they didn't write those comics. Other people did years ago. The CW has to fight for its own, right to be a great show. It doesn't get to just glean off of the comics. And that's the problem. It's like they can bring stuff into the show, but they have to make it cool using the show. They can't just they can't bank off of the comics. Batman the Animated Series.
This is really one thing, is that Monitor might have been introduced a year early, but we didn't hear anything about Anti-Monitor.
Yeah, that's even worse. We didn't. Yeah, they didn't build him up at all.
If we had bits and pieces of Anti-Monitor throughout the shows leading up to Crisis, then it might actually feel earned.
That would have been really solid. So that would have done the trick. And I think here's an example of the opposite of this. This is the opposite of what Crisis did, and I really liked this. Do you remember? I think it was in Legends. What season was it where they had did they call it the Legion of Doom? Where they had Damien Dark, they had Malcolm Merlin, and they had
it was the one with the Spear of Destiny. I think that was season 2.
that would have been Legends season 3.
No, 2.
Best season of
2.
Legends. 2. Okay, season 2. Best season of Legends, hands down. One of my favorite seasons from the entire.
Oh yeah, it was
season.
great.
Yeah, and the reason for that is they built up each of those guys in their own shows, made them a huge deal, and they were really enjoyable to watch. And then, Damien Dark as a character throughout the CW gets better and better the more you see of him.
He was hilarious. He was great.
I hated him in Arrow, but he was perfect in Legends.
I hated him in Arrow, but then they found a way to make him work really well. Where before, the problem in Arrow is that he's one of those typical bad guys that just he thinks he's hot shit and he has all the power in the world. He's everything that people accuse Superman of being, where like he just has too much power and he's just not interesting. That's like what Damien Dark was. He's one of those guys who just the whole show he's just ha 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 ha. I'm the best villain. Ha ha ha. And he's like not like he never gets angry. He never snaps. He never gets beaten until the very end. And you want characters that that
also
react.
He's like that actor. Also, I think just has a lot of comedy to him.
He's a really good
Damien
actor.
Dark-
I've only ever seen him in one other thing, that being Band of Brothers, though.
But I do think it's mainly the writing. But that is part of it.
Because I've seen him in Captain America, and Captain America, the first Avenger. He was one of Captain America's like howling commandos in that. And based on his personality there, I just think that actor has a bit of a comedic gleam to him.
Yeah, he definitely
work
does.
in Arrow.
And he did a really good job of that. But I think the real problem, I think he would have worked out just fine in Arrow if they just written him to be more reactive and to lose more.
Right.
And the problem is
He could have worked in Arrow.
Yeah, but he really did work in Legends, and I think that the comedic side is probably part of that.
I think Legends is like the Thor Ragnarok of like the CW shows. Like it probably that show probably has more improv than any other show going on. I feel like there's just a lot more fun going on set over there.
Honestly, I think fun going on set is exactly what hurts the CW shows for me. It's like when they take. It's like, do you remember? I think
it has. I think it depends on the tone of the show. Like for Legends, that works.
Legends gets very messy sometimes. I really liked when they had the Legion of Doom going on. That was really cool.
Right.
But
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the banter between those three was improv.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Legends, like, there's a general tone in the CW shows, I think, where it seems to me like a lot of the time they make decisions for the show solely based on keeping certain actors around. And I hate that. I hate that they decide the story based on one guy. Like
how Reverse Flash keeps on looking like Harry Wells.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And to be fair, I think that's probably, because the original actor left or whatever. Or not technically original, but the blonde guy, right?
Right.
He left for whatever reason.
Well, he was in Legends.
But like what I hate.
Yeah, but I think he left after that. I think that was his only full season.
Yeah. But like I don't mind if there's like a good reason, right? Like again, it's all about meaning. It's all about significance.
Right.
The fact that
like,
he returned.
We were talking about like Ruby Rose earlier. Like she left. They had to find a way. They actually handled the replacement of Ruby Rose very well. It's just it happened too soon. But they couldn't control that.
That's good. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, so I can't be certain. But
actually, I think one of the nicest scenes from the transition from Kate Kane to Ryan Wilder is we were mentioning like Kate writing to Bruce, and I didn't really care for that, like love or hate. But what happens is she comes across Kate's journals, and then she's looking through them, and then she turns to the end, and then she starts writing Dear Kate. And I thought that was a nice moment.
That is clever, but that is still... That sounds to me like something I wouldn't like, and here's the reason. I feel like the CW shows are very much this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And there's never a moment where you say, and then this ties back to this, and this ties back to this. It's always, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. They keep tacking new stuff on rather than going back to what. They don't.
So sometimes you gotta wonder, are they more true to comic books than we're giving them credit for?
In the long run, yes, but you can't look at the history of comics. You have to look at a single run of comics. And again, they're not doing that. Like a single run of comics, the writer has a plan at the beginning, and they write several issues and then eventually tie back to the core of it, the whole point.
But also, like the way I see it, like your run of comics could be compared to your season of a show, and you definitely do have some seasons where they don't really tie back. But you also have some comic runs where they do that.
I think,
And that's just what we call shoddy writing.
I guess, but I think that's true, right? That is true. But I think a show as a whole, I think that runs done by the same writer tie in together still. And then I think I would compare a season to a run and a show to a writer is what I would do. And I would say it should all still kind of work with itself, and it should remember where it came from, right? You should keep referencing season 1 and remember where you started and why people got invested in the first place.
Right.
And the CW tends to forget where it came from and tends to like totally drift off from the whole point of the show after a while. And that's what really started frustrating me, because again, you just got to go back to the beginning. It's like,
Also, there's so much of it now, and I don't know who's working on what, but I could almost understand where maybe it's just everyone's running themselves thin, trying to keep this whole
I get
monster
that
together.
It's because it's hard to keep track of all of it at this point, and
Especially now that Black Lightning is like now Black Lightning's a part of this universe. It wasn't its first few seasons.
that's true. I'm really worried about Black Lightning because that's honestly, I mean, I've stopped watching now, so none of them, I don't watch any of them anymore. But Black Lightning is my favorite show out of all of those.
So far, it's still good, and just now it
That's
gets
good.
to use a lot more of the references.
Black Lightning is the closest thing I think to Batman and out of all the CW shows. And the reason is, and it's an interesting comparison, the reason is you've got Gamby, who's like Alfred, right? You've got Black Lightning, who's this big, buff, awesome, kind of stoic, guy with a really strong conscience, who's also suffered a lot in his life. Like, I mean, think about his childhood, right? And what that looks like. He literally, again, I don't want to spoil this for anybody. Stop watching right now I will go in 5 minutes, I promise, audience.
We'll probably all go in 5 minutes.
He'll go in 5 minutes, 15 minutes ago.
But think about, like, they show this several times, is that his father got newspaper crammed down his throat for speaking the truth while he was watching by the main villain of the series, who he fights every season. Like, that's his Joker, right? And I know Joker doesn't kill Bruce's parents, whatever, but like the point is, Tobias matters in the show. It's not some random guy that comes along. No, it's the guy who killed his dad. No wonder they're enemies, right?
I wish the Flash did that with Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I
really wish they hadn't just gotten rid of Reverse Flash pretty much entirely in season 1.
Right? Yeah,
because
precisely.
Flash and Reverse Flash in the comics and other shows, they fight forever. They never end.
Now, I do like that Reverse Flash keeps coming back, but he never keeps much of a presence.
And that's the problem.
Exactly. He's kind of just there, and then poof, he's gone.
In Crisis on Earth X, we acknowledge that, okay, he's back. He's not dead. But does that hold a presence over the Flash going forward?
Exactly.
No, we're just going back to what was that season? What was it going on? I think that was the Thinker season.
We're now considered out in and out, right? He's not staying, and that's the problem. And I think here's what I really care about.
No, that wasn't the Thinker season. That was the season before that.
You know better than I do, Dustin.
But wait, what are we talking about?
Same thing as before.
Yeah.
But the point being, right, and I'll go in a second here, but the point being, I'll compare this to Batman again. In Batman, no matter how many stories you tell about the Riddler or Two-Face or Hush or Harley Quinn or whoever, the Joker is still the main villain. Always. Even if he's not in the story, Bruce will be fighting Two-Face and then just be reminded of the Joker for some reason. And the audience will always, they'll always remember that he's kind of the main threat in the background, and that never changes. It's not like he beats the Joker at some point and he's behind him. He's always his main villain. The same thing.
I think that's what the nice thing that Batwoman did with Alice is.
Yeah, they handled. I was surprised by that. Alice was the best part of Batwoman by far. She actually
and Batwoman got better as the season went on.
Yeah, she really did.
And I mean, who can blame a first season for having a rocky start?
Yeah.
Apparently, Ruby Rose had a back injury, and they still had her doing her own stunts. But as the season progressed, they were like, you know what? Let's just put a stunt double in the suit, and they actually started doing for real stunts.
Right.
Like,
Something reminded me of something when Lemmy said that the fight between Joker and Batman never ends, and that reminded me of a clip from the Harley Quinn show. You know, the show called Harley Quinn. It's animated.
I cannot afford to hear any more Harley Quinn spoilers at this point. I'm
No.
sure
Oh wait, I don't know. You've probably
it's a
seen.
spoiler, okay, Dak? Every single
It's not a
spoiler.
spoiler. It's like
Any
13 seconds.
time.
It's just a funny
No.
line.
No. Okay, I can
Don't
already
do
tell
it, Dak.
Harley Quinn is a great
It's
show.
just a
It's the
funny
Joker. I can tell
line.
that already. Don't say anything, Dax.
I haven't even seen the show. This is just a clip I saw on the internet.
Please, because I don't want anything else spoiled from that show.
Okay, let me
let him,
just calm
Dak,
down.
let him experience it
You're
fresh.
telling me to
No,
calm
no.
down, Dax.
I have never ever seen the show. I
That's
would
the
love to see the
problem.
show.
Everyone has just seen clips and then tells me this is exactly what I'm not
All
falling
right,
for this
well
trick
then.
again. I'm not falling for this trick again, Dax. It's been lovely.
No,
talking to
it's
both
just.
of you. I've quite enjoyed myself. I have to go eat dinner.
No, just let me. Let me. No, let me.
Stop.
Hold on. I would. Can I
Right.
tell you?
I
Dustin,
mean, I've probably already heard it, but
it's the one clip where Joker is, he's talking to Bruce like in Batman suit because but
yeah, that would definitely have been a spoiler.
no, but I'm not gonna tell him that. I wanted to see if he already knew this. I'm just gonna ask him. Did you see the thing
The
about?
line where he's like, "Where's my electric car, Bruce?"
Exactly. I would have said that.
Yeah, that would have been a spoiler just to hear that Joker was talking to Bruce.
Well, I didn't need to say that he was talking to Bruce. I could just say, do you know about the line when Joker says something about "Where's my electric car"? I mean, what does that spoil?
To the context, and it's not funny.
Well, okay. Well, anyway, I just love the bit where he's like, last year Wayne Tech promised an electric. Wait. Wayne Tech promised an electric car by this year. I put a deposit down. Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's only funny with the rest of it. If you just say,
But it's so funny.
"Where's my goddamn electric car?" then it's just
Where's
someone
my
asking
goddamn
whether
electric car,
it's
Bruce? And the way he says it, it's just all one word.
Huh.
Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce?
the hell just happened. Dax chased Lemmy off.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did say he was going to be leaving, but I thought I'd at least get to say goodbye first.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks, Dax.
I'm gonna turn these signals into my thumbs. Hold on. These are
I'm
the short
only-
ones
I'm
from the
only
pedestrian
this-
bridge.
I'm only this much mad at you.
Look, I've got new thumbs.
Well, I think with all this being said, I don't know where it is where you are, but it's 10 o'clock where I am.
It is 9 o'clock where I am, and it is 7 o'clock where Lemmy is.
So, with that all being said, I think it's time I wrapped this thing up before it gets too far out of hand.
Yeah.
So thank you all for coming, people.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked since
Trackline Banter.
Trackline Banter. So, hey, I said the right show this time.
Yeah.
So I figured it was a good excuse.
And then you instantly regretted it because I'm the world's most annoying person.
Yes. Well, hey, at least I don't live with you. I live with one of the world's most annoying people. And it gets, when you don't live with them, it's just an entertaining night. When you live with them, it's hell.
Exactly. Like, I've got a sister, a younger sister, by 1 year, 3 months, 13 days, 5 hours, and 9 minutes.
It is sad that I don't know what it is that, yeah.
I looked at our birth certificates.
Anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in. This has kind of had a bit of an explosive ending. So yeah, I guess we sort of talked about trains, and then we talked about the CW shows.
And then we argued about CW shows, and we screamed and yelled about CW shows. And then I chased off Lemmy by talking about a not CW show, but that is still DC. Wow.
You know, maybe that's why so many of the CW shows are getting canceled now, is because DC is kind of got a new direction for DC TV. Like back when Arrow and Flash came out, they didn't have any other DC TV going on.
Well, they do, yeah. But Supergirl's not getting canceled because of that. Supergirl's getting canceled because, Melissa Benoist just had another child, and it's going to be really hard for them to.
I did hear about that, but still, it seems
She named him Husky or something, and
she's weird from what I understand. Like,
she's nice, but she's a bit.
Yeah, nice but odd. But I mean, aren't we all?
The guy who plays Mon-El is her husband in real life.
Yeah, that's where I kind of figured out about it. Is apparently a lot of her like on set love interests become her actual love interest. Apparently this has been a pattern.
Really?
What
in the first season her love interest is
on that, though. Like I got that from like one either article or YouTube video ages ago. So who knows how reliable that source was.
Yeah. Well, I know that she divorced her first husband because of domestic abuse.
Well, that's a note to end things off on. So, I'm going to start this again. Thank you all for tuning in, everybody. I'll be back on Monday again.
Can I do my outro after you do your outro?
I mean, it's not a real outro. It's not.
I have a real outro. I have an intro and an outro that I say in every video, and it's not because I wanted a specific intro or outro. It's just I kept doing it like without thinking about it. I just kept saying the same thing, and it's now my thing. Because I start off pretty much every video with "Hello there, everybody! Flying Scott Films here, and welcome back to another whatever video."
The best place to end it. Goodbye, everyone.